Well, thank you so much for being here today. Like they mentioned earlier, my name is Maria Gironas. I'm the founder of Cool Shit, Cool People, and it's a pretty simple concept for my agency. I work with cool people doing cool shit, everything from music, tech, and creators. And today I have the privilege of privilege of hosting this panel about social listening, and this is a topic I'm very passionate about because my work in my life is about community building, and I can't think of anyone better to work with for this particular panel than the folks I have with me. So I'm going to welcome to the stage right now Alex Warren and Caroline Kimiko Jensen. Can we give them a hand of applause? Oh, and then Caroline, you are also due to come up. There it is. Come on through. Yeah, okay. Another round of applause, everyone. Perfect.
Oh. Hi. There's a lot of people.
Yeah, it's a good group. We just agreed today was going to be a good day, so it's already good vibes all around.
I love that.
So we're going to start off really quickly by just, letting you all introduce yourselves. But Caroline, I'd love for you to start, and then Alex, we can dive in a little bit what we talked about before. But Caroline, yeah.
I'm Caroline Kimiko Jensen, and I am a digital marketing director at Atlantic Records. And before that, I came over from APG, where I was doing marketing for like NBA Youngboy and Kehlani and Don Toliver. And prior to that, I had my own digital marketing agency for several years, and have just been doing digital services for about the last 12 or 13 years. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Ooh.
Thank you for having me. Listen, y'all, working at a label, you're doing the Lord's work as far as working with artists, so we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, we're all pieces of shit.
The humility is appreciated. But Alex, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, and then we have a few follow-up questions for you, too.
Yeah, I'm Alex Warren. I make music. I don't know. I've been writing songs since I was a kid. I just got septoplasty, so I sound all nasally, but it's just deviated septum.
Once again, humility and transparency.
I just don't want people to think I'm sick.
Fair enough. Well, we did a little bit of a prep call yesterday, and there were a few topics that I was really excited about, but overall what we're chatting about today is social listening and how to have a career in this age through social media. And I think, Alex, with you, I think you've kind of nailed it on the head a little bit. And what's funny is I don't, we've always only known each other for like 24 hours now.
Yeah.
But
go way back.
Exactly. But I don't get the impression, you're approaching socials with an agenda, and I think the authenticity of that's really important. So can you describe a little bit how do you approach socials, and how does that also come out in your music as well?
Yeah, it's this one. Oh, it's cool, it's on. It's kind of a coin flip. I'd like to say that there's an algorithm to it, and you can do some of the right things to essentially understand it a little better, but it is, if everyone knew how to make a song go viral, I think we'd be doing it. I think the biggest thing is treating the social media aspect of it as its own art. I think there's so many musicians suck at social media, and so many social media stars suck at music because they're both such an integral part of, they're both their own separate industries, and now musicians have to be social media stars, but social media stars don't have to be musicians. So it's something where they're sitting here and they've spent 8 to 10 hours in a studio minimum to write a song that they're extremely passionate about. They got into songwriting because they're passionate about it, and now they have to do a completely separate job to promote it and understand what goes viral, understand at the moment what's happening, and how they can get it in front of their core demographic. So it's definitely a challenge, and once you understand it, or once you've built it even a little bit, then it's kind of like you kind of build a community, and you know what they want to see, and then you keep going, and repetition.
I love that. And I think something you really pointed out there too is the idea of these are two separate jobs. Yeah. Like you have people like Caroline and your management team amongst others that, you also work with on the social side, but in the end you're kind of the CEO of that. But I think a lot of artists do lean on other teams a little more to help with that inception and such. And Caroline, I'm gonna bring it to you right now. When you're, the whole point of this panel is to be able to talk about what are the practical ways that an artist like yourselves in the audience, and actually just a quick poll, who's an artist in the audience right now?
Holy fucking shit.
Hell yeah, your peers. Well, I want to acknowledge that using social media is tough. I don't want to pretend like it's an easy thing, and I also don't want to pretend like there should be any shaming if you don't know, if you can't lean into it, and that you don't, it's not something that's easy to grasp. So Caroline, when you're, working with an artist and you're starting a campaign, how do you find the best way to work with them?
I think it's just about getting to know the artist better and what they feel comfortable with and how they want to portray their art. And I think it's about not changing that necessarily, but also just finding what they're passionate about, like what type of content do they enjoy watching, what type of content do they wish they were making or that they see other artists making that they love, and how can we help them make that a reality. So I think it's not about saying, hey, you need to be posting 6 times a week, but more so like, let's talk about what type of content you're posting and have a further conversation about that and really dive in there. And just being able to support them in what they feel comfortable with, because it can be a really scary and kind of overwhelming thing to make such a big part of your day.
Sure, sure. And I guess like, you know, I'd love to kind of bring it back to you as well with like, how do you work with an artist that doesn't or isn't leaning into social media? And then I'll follow that up with, how is it like working with an artist like Alex, who does?
Yeah. I think I can answer that probably with an example.
Sure.
For example, like Don Tolliver, working with him, you know, 5 years ago or however many years ago, No Idea was released. And that song, you know, TikTok was just kind of becoming a big thing, like in 2019,
Sure,
at least
sure.
within the music industry and what we were talking about within the labels. And, you know, he was unfamiliar with the platform and a bit hesitant to lean in. And so it's just about what type of content can we make? What type of content creators can we reach out to who have the same audience that he does? And also, if you don't have a big, you know, social media following or not a ton of creates either, I think it's just about creating content. Maybe it's like you love anime and you're gonna create a bunch of anime edits to your song and put it out there without your face on it. Or maybe you're gonna do like a really interesting lyric video and not attach your name to it whatsoever and have, you know, another account, a second account that you run uploaded. It can be whatever, you know, feels comfortable to you. And then going back to Don, over the last couple of years, he's become more comfortable with the platform. And I think been able to lean in and really see the effects of, you know, him engaging with his audience on there, because that is where they live. And then going to Alex, it's been also a learning experience for me working with him, because he does think about, you know, the data so much, and I love to think and look at the analytics of everything and see what's working and what's not, and he's beyond on top of that and knows more than we could ever know about these platforms, because he's just so incredible at them. And I think he also, you know, knows how to be vulnerable with his content and with his music, and it's been really beautiful and just inspiring for me to watch him tell his journey and tell moments of like what he's gone through in his life and be able to connect with people in that way. And I think he does such a beautiful job of that. And
I need to do
like,
more panels with
I
Kimiko.
know, I was gonna say, like, I'm getting emotional here. Like, but I think understandably so, like, it's so important to acknowledge artists are people. And I think a lot of the times, you know, whether you're on the label side, management side, you kind of, you are human, so you forget these things sometimes, because sometimes an artist just like can be such a workhorse. And we also get that impression from you, Alex. Like, imagine like rest periods are a little rare or such like that. And I guess like with that, you know, what is it like having a partner like Caroline in like this type of work? And then also, not to mention, like, how do you find support? Like, how do people support you as far as social media goes on your team?
Well, I mean, it's nice because I say this a lot, and I tell a lot of my friends this: going into this industry with an ego is the worst thing you could do.
Oof, yeah.
Only because no matter which room you go in, like with social media, you walk in a room, you can identify like who is a big creator based on the fact that you've seen them before. You understand that they have a world of knowledge more than you. They then apply that same exact mindset when they go into a room full of writers. There's writers who are 10 times more talented than I am. There's producers who are 10 times more talented than I am. A room I'll go into and there's an artist who no one have ever heard of, and they're 20 times more talented than I am. And it's like, if you go into a room and act like you know everything, you will always, always, always never learn something. And it's like, no matter how far ahead you are or how far you think you are ahead, you'll never actually know if you don't actually like bring yourself down. And I think the cool thing with working with Kimi is, she's the head of one of the heads of the department, or she's high up in the department and whatnot of marketing, and you know she is qualified to have some sort of ego. She knows, she's worked with A-list celebrities. But when I say like, oh, I know that like, you know, with this will go viral, she's totally like, okay, and tell me more. She wants to know more all the time, which is something, instead of like fighting back and be like, oh no, you should you should do a sing and then have the audience sing back. And I'm like, I'll never do that. And it's like, those are things where she's so open to learning about TikTok or the industry and being able to apply it and help other people. And then I'm also like, when she says, oh, you should do this, I'm like, oh, well, you know what, I'm open and I'll try it and we'll see how it works and stuff like that. So it's like, we work so well because we never clash with each other. We always are open to each other's ideas.
Is everyone seeing the flowers that are being thrown to each other in this panel right now?
I thought she was going to call me an asshole. So.
I love that. I mean, you know, it's a very, I think one of the most important aspects of, you know, at the end, as you're an artist, as many in this audience, like, you create your own team and you want a team in your image that support you and empower you. And I think you've really captured that, Alex, with your label team and everyone. And I think something that I think is really interesting about you, in particular social media, I find that in the past of creators I've worked with, they kind of hone in on one, right? They're like, YouTube's my thing, this is where I live and die and such like that. But you've been able to kind of have a curiosity with each platform and try to figure out how to work it. Like, what's kind of your, do you have an example of that, and how do you generally approach like a new platform, for example?
I've tried to do it all. I mean, social media, and it's a little tricky because I started everything off with music.
Sure.
Like, I started social media off to be a musician. The first video on any one of my platforms is a Labyrinth cover to Jealous. And it's like, I tried it for so long and it never worked, and I thought the other angle I could hit was getting big for something else, which is inevitably, it's hard as it is, but like going big for comedy or something and then being like, oh, hey, like a Joji, if you guys know, Joji was Filthy Frank, and he was a huge YouTuber, and he then dropped off the face of the earth and went to music. And he was one of the few who went from social media to music and did it very, very successfully. And I think that was something for me where I saw that trajectory and I was like, you know what, that's an angle I could hit. And so I went for it, and you know, I did a lot of cool things with social media, and I loved it because I was able to make people feel a certain way with social media, but the love was always music.
Yeah.
So I made a second account called, like, it was just a random ass name, and I posted a singing video to it at like midnight, and I woke up to 10 million views on that singing video, and from there it was like, wow, I actually think I might be able to do what I always dreamed of doing. And it wasn't like always, oh, I'm going to do music once I did social media, because I thought that I wasn't able to do music because it's such a cutthroat industry. You have to know people. You have to, like, that's what everyone tells you about the music industry. It's cutthroat. You'll get taken advantage of. You might have to put out your own version of a song, Taylor's version. And that's something where, you know, I was deeply fucking scared of that, but also it was something where I was willing to explore it and see it. And yeah, I love the music industry more than any other industry I've been in, and I'm very open to trying all of them, because if you only stick in one, you may not realize where your passion lies. Like, I can't say I'll go 100% into music without trying everything else and saying that this is the industry that I love, and I've done all of them, and I can say very confidently now, because of that this is the industry I was supposed to be in.
I love that. I think that clarity is so rare in life, and I just want to acknowledge that. But I'll bring it back to Caroline too. Like, you know, we're talking about different platforms he's approached. Like, are there any platforms you're particularly excited about as far as artists wanting to create community, or even like ones that you think everyone should lean into, for example?
I think it's been really interesting to watch Alex's journey on Snapchat, because you were dormant for a little while, right?
Yeah.
And then Alex is one of the top creators on Snap, period. And he's been able to really get so many streams because of his engagement on that platform, because that's where a majority of his fans are. And just knowing that that's where a majority of his fans are, who are highly engaged, then you correlate that to, okay, now there's all of a sudden an uptick in streams because he's tagging the song in his content, or he's posting about the music video, and then you literally see how him leaning in helps to like make something take off. So I think people need to tap back into Snapchat for sure, I think, but I also think that's a bit particular to Alex's case, in terms of that's where his following is, or that's where a majority of his following has come from. That's highly engaged. It's not like a passive following on Instagram. It's people who are going to snap him back. It's people who are going to be messaging and sharing his content with their friends. And I think that's a really important thing to take note of. And then we've just been dabbling, you know, with Discord, of course. And I think that's something that we're going to make more and more of a priority with artists, especially the ones who know how to engage with their fans, who want to give them content first, or give them access to music first, do listening parties on there. But I think it just is dependent on where the audience is,
Sure.
and seeing where you can really connect with them the most and where they're the most engaged.
Sure.
I think the biggest thing is you can build an audience anywhere, but it's like it's so much easier said than done.
Sure.
Because if it's easy, again, like I said before, everyone would do it. And I think the biggest thing is understanding that at a certain point, if you want to simplify it and take all the emotion out of it, you're selling a product. And it's like, as musicians or as creators or artists, it is difficult to take the emotion out of the things because that's the entirety of why you're in it. It's like, why do you write music? It's because you feel like that's the only way you could express how you feel. I can guarantee there's not one person in this room right now who makes music because they think they're going to become Will.I.Am rich. I think everyone's here because it's like this is their way of expressing, this is how they want to do it. And it's like social media, a lot of times, sadly, is how can you sell yourself, which so many people suck at and why we make music. And I think the thing is like the best way to think about it, and I know we're sitting up here saying, oh, Snapchat and all these things, and it's like, yeah, but how? And at the end of the day, it is a little bit of, it's a lot of luck, and once you get it, you can kind of like, you kind of have to figure it out. But I'd say just authentically post about yourself, post about your music. I think anyone in this room right now who's written a song about a tough time they've gone through or maybe a happy time in their life, tell the story and people eventually will listen. I think if you tell it enough where you figure out like what's worked for other people and how you can put it and apply it to yourself, it becomes infinitely easier instead of just overcomplicating it in your head.
Totally. I think I want to expand on something you said too about luck. And a previous boss of mine said this, and I always really like the concept, like when you are approaching marketing, you want to eliminate luck. You know, you can have it and you can be prepared for it. Like, you know, with virality, you can't chase those things. You can, you can not plan for virality, but you can chase them when they happen, right?
Yeah.
So as far as like the concept of eliminating luck, like what are some, you know, essential tips that everyone should approach social media with? And I think you provided one with like telling, you know, your honest story and such, but I'm wondering if I'd love an answer from Alex and I'd love an answer from you, Caroline.
You want to go first?
Okay, you go first.
I think one of the biggest things, and I'll take a word out of my manager's book because I hyper-focus on it. I will, especially if a release is coming out, I'm like, oh my God, I have to do everything. Don't try to control the things you won't be able to. And that's something for me where like, you know, I've already built a platform, and yet sometimes when I go to promote a song or we're like, tomorrow my song comes out and TikTok is down or whatnot, it's like, even then it's like 4 people saw that maybe, and then you're like, oh fuck, like this isn't gonna be a good release. But the thing is like, it's discouraging when you post so much about a song that you absolutely crush yourself over. And I think there's so many things where it's like, this is the song that's gonna help me, this is the song that's gonna break me as an artist, this is the song that's gonna, you know, whatnot and so forth, and then all of a sudden it just doesn't have the trajectory you thought in the beginning. It's like, for me, it's like eliminating luck is extremely difficult. And I don't know necessarily if I would have the right answer and how I try to eliminate it, because even now with already a career in social media and I'm a beginner in music, it's something where like I'm still figuring out how to navigate that. A lot of the industry is luck. It's like even when you have your own audience, you have that audience coming to like listen to your music, but to move forward in the industry, you need the people who haven't heard your music yet. To help more people, you need to hear those people need to hear your music.
Sure.
And it's like, how do you find those people or how do you get them in? It's like a little bit of calculated effort because you know eventually what does well. And then so you can multiply it and get it in front of more people. But then it's like, it's still a good amount of luck that all the cards work in your favor. The social medias aren't having trouble and they're not like the algorithm's not down, which happens a lot more than you guys think. And yeah, it's still luck no matter what. So I don't know how much you can eliminate it.
Fair enough.
Sorry if that's discouraging. But.
No. I think
I
it's important
also
knowledge.
think tying into like Alex's song Chasing Shadows that was released a couple months ago, when it came out, you know, we did our advertising campaigns, we did our influencer marketing, et cetera.
That means put money behind it.
And, you know, it definitely, people loved the song and loved the music video, but it was really about Alex's consistency with tapping into his core audience that helped make the song, you know, really start gaining more traction. Is because he was constantly posting about it, he was constantly interacting with people about it for months. It's like I think if something doesn't happen right away, it doesn't mean that it's not successful. Sometimes it takes years for a song to come around, or months, or...
Lizzo.
Yeah, exactly.
Lizzo did it for 4 years, and then one sync came out, and all of a sudden, songs that she had posted that were already out for years just blew up overnight on TikTok because it was in one TV show. And it's like, those are things where it's like, some people it's instant. I'm so sorry.
No, keep going.
No, you're good.
Yeah, like, along with that, I think it's just about being consistent and, like, just continuing. Even if you're posting other content that's not related to the song and it's just about you as a person or what inspires you as an artist, and just continuing to remind people that you have new music out, or continuing to just do it in an organic way that feels natural to you, and really try to focus on making those one-on-one connections with individual fans, whether it's talking back and forth to them, whether it's reposting their content and making them feel seen. I feel like that will help, something, perform better than not. If you're not going to lean in, or you're going to be completely detached from your audience and not make them feel like you see them, I think that kind of creates a barrier sometimes.
Yeah, totally. I think you pointed out something there too, or Alex kind of hinted at this as well, but the non-music content sometimes is like the thing that can kind of sustain you until that release, or even like create that platform that will allow you when that music comes, like to like really, make it bombastic. Alex, can you talk a little bit about what non-music content that helped kind of get you to a spot where the music stuff kind of came, or?
Plethora. My whole thing was like, I don't write off a lot of things. Like, I'll do anything kind of on social media. Like, I'll do whatever trend or whatever I see, and that actually helps. I think a lot of times when there's a trend or something going on that you see multiple people taking part of, if you do your own spin on that trend, it'll bring more eyes to you because it was different in some way, and people don't want to see the same thing over and over again, but a variation of the same thing that's worked. And that's the thing is everyone's like, oh, how do I be so different when everything's been done? You don't necessarily have to be different from what's been done. It's more taking what successfully worked and making it your own, or making it something palatable that someone hasn't seen 100 versions of.
Totally.
And I think that was for me. Like, I started off doing vlogs, and then I started doing videos with my fiance, which started getting traction. And the first video did really well, and I was like, okay, how do I replicate this? And so I did numerous versions of it. Or like the singing video I did really well was me and her singing. So I'm like, okay, I'll do a bunch of those, and I'll do them differently. And I'll, if you have a baseline, you create a trust with the people who saw it already. So let's say a video does really well and there's a structure to it. How do you replicate that structure but keep the content of itself different, so that way they don't feel like they're watching the same video? It's the same thing as a song. You have a verse, you have a pre, you have a chorus. Then you have a second verse, pre, chorus. And then you sometimes have a bridge or a post-chorus to a crescendo, and like a down chorus. So whenever someone hears a down chorus, they automatically in the ear think, oh, this is gonna have a huge thing, and I'm waiting for it. I'm building to something. Or in dubstep, you hear the drop the bass. And it's like all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, fuck yeah, woo! And so it's like, if you build that expectation with an audience who already saw you once, they're gonna know something's at the end, retain the information all the way throughout, and then you can use that to your advantage. So if you're trying to promote a song, and let's say you tried making a video to your song and it didn't work, but then you found success in another version of content in itself, which is not rare to do if you're posting 3 or 4 times a day on any of these social media platforms. Okay, you found success in that one thing. How do you replicate it but get people to listen to your song? So let's say I did this a lot of times with Chasing Shadows. I didn't have any success with promoting it that way, so then I started making like something that worked with my fiance, and then I put Chasing Shadows in it. And then I saw on my For You page, someone got in a car accident, and instead of calling for emergency services, they were playing a song on the radio. I think it was like, hands up, play that song, that thing. And it was like, his hands were up because he was dangling in the fucking car. And I was like, holy shit, that's hilarious. So I bought a car, flipped it, got in the car, and then played Chasing Shadows. And so it's like, that's the thing where it's like, I replicated something so obnoxious that people would be like, okay, I have to engage with this. And I'm very in a privileged position where I can afford to do that. So I'm not saying go flip a car and promote your next single. But I'm saying it's a lot easier to replicate things that you've seen on the internet and use it to your advantage, because let's be honest, the minute you have a viral video, someone's gonna do the same thing. That's how social media works.
Man, if you haven't been taking notes, this is the sauce
I'm gonna
here.
start charging a course.
Exactly. I expect Alex's masterclass shortly after this.
Well, I love to say that I know something, but I do not know everything, and you will never know everything about this industry.
Absolutely.
Especially music. I think everyone in here knows this. It's like you're always, like I said in the beginning, you're going to get in a room no matter how much you think you know, and you learn something new every single day. So it's like the same thing with social media, and I can tell you what I know, but fuck, I'm still figuring it out, or else I would be Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, I mean, also full transparency, I've had the privilege of working at YouTube and Reddit. I don't even think we knew how to use YouTube or Reddit when I was working there, but I think that's a bit of the funny thing about social media too. I think you figure out how I think a lot of the times people are chasing how to optimize for it, but you should optimize for yourself. And then from there, figure out what feels authentic and then dive into that. And Caroline, once again, kind of bringing it back to the topic of non-music content surrounding the music content. Do you have like other artists you've worked with, or you seen an example of that going off really well?
Someone who I really love their content where it's not necessarily all music is Rosalia. Like she'll just do posts where she's going to 7-Eleven with her friends and they all highlight what they get. Or it's like her and her boyfriend are going and having like a picnic, or her and her fiance.
Yeah. Celebrities are just like us.
But I think just those simple things get you to know someone so much better and feel connected. It's just about doing whatever they're doing in their regular life. Like, I think she does a really good job too on YouTube of doing her vlogs and showcasing what her life looks like and going for a walk and just talking. And I think those things just help you to better feel connected with somebody. And I think Kehlani is someone who also does a really incredible job, and they just post really great content of them interacting with their girlfriend or them traveling and them with their daughter. And 90% of the time, it's not even about their music. It's just about what's going on in their lives. And I think that really is resonating with people, and they feel connected with them. You can see it at their shows, how, intimately people feel with them. So I think, that's half the battle too, is just feeling vulnerable enough to like share part of your life online, but also making it tie back into your music, whether it's like you're attaching the song underneath, or you're commenting back and forth with people, and then your next post is a one about your music. So I think it's just about feeling comfortable to do that in moments that feel authentic to you.
I love that. Yeah, I think both of you acknowledge like once again the vulnerability of like approaching social media, because I think when TikTok first came on the market, and I imagine you probably acknowledge this as well, everyone hit me and like, I don't want to do dance content. And it's like, y'all, you don't have to dance. Like, I can't dance. Like, I still use TikTok. Like, it's just for my like travel videos or whatever. And I think the beauty of the platform is being able to find your niche. There was an artist I worked with that was super into gardening, and they blew up on gardening TikTok. And which was so funny, because suddenly you're like seeing like millions of views on a zucchini they just grew, and they were very proud of showing. And then like maybe like 100 on the song, but we started kind of adopting into it, like just put the music behind your zucchini picking and stuff, and if zucchini sell music, like let's go,
What blew you up? Shrubbery.
Exactly. Exactly. But I think the point of all that too is like when, the folks in the room that are the managers or the teams or the artists, like approaching social media is about how you approach it. Like you make it your bitch, not the other way around. And excuse my language as well. But at the end of
Excuse mine too.
I think at the end of it too, something I thought would be really helpful as well is like, if you were doing it over, like on social media, whether it's starting in your career, like approaching it, or like starting in yours where you're kind of, using it, is there anything you would have done differently? Anything you would have approached differently, just upon reflection?
I talk enough.
Isn't this Alex's specific
Fuck,
question?
okay, fine. See, I don't know. I think everything that I've done wrong and everything I've done right has led me to where I am today. And that's the thing where it's like, I think especially in social media, if something doesn't work, it doesn't mean it wasn't right. And thank you. I don't know. I think a lot of times too, I was so reluctant in the beginning of sharing my story. And if for those not aware, I lost my dad when I was super young. My mom was abusive growing up, and then I lost my mom to alcohol. And so those were things where, for me, I didn't want to talk about it because I thought people wanted to go on social media to get away from that type of thing. And so, funny enough, the person who told me to shut the fuck up and stop being a pussy was Logan Paul. And I was telling him about my story, and he was like, "You're actually stupid." And I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, "People want to feel reflected. They want to be able, like, imagine all the people going through that who feel like it's impossible to get to where you are right now because of the things that you've gone through. It's like, I remember when I was a kid and I was like, I just got fucking WWE'd by my mother, and I was sitting there in my room, and I'm like, my favorite creator is Logan Paul at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I will never be able to be that. I'll never be able to have those, that life, because the cards were never dealt for me. And looking back on that now, it's like one of my best decisions I've ever made was sharing the hardships, the trauma, and the things I've gone through. And I don't think my music would be as good as if I didn't go through that. I don't think my people skills would be that well. I don't think anything good about my life I would have had if I didn't talk about it, help people with it, but also be able to create my own art. And me being able to write about it, me being able to tell people about it is, like you said, grab it, making it my bitch.
That's trademark.
Yeah.
Carolyn?
I was just thinking about one of your videos when you were saying that, which is you unboxing your dad's, or someone's
Yeah, my
urn.
dad's ashes.
Yeah,
It's
someone's
an
ashes.
unboxing video.
But something as simple as that, because I've lost my dad, I instantly related to that video, and I sent it to so many people in my family, and I was like, I can relate to this. This is an amazing
I
video.
cannot believe we're talking about my dad's ashes on a panel.
I can't really read the transcript for this.
Yeah, no, I love it.
But just to say, like, I think he does a great job, not to just keep praising Alex, but I think
Stop.
I think it's just, showcasing, parts of your life where you've been vulnerable and finding a way to like showcase that in music and also in the content where it could be lighthearted.
Sure.
And it just, it can be a funny thing, but it could also be a very emotional thing in music. And I think there's such a good balance of showcasing that in different ways that relate to people, and something that's more forward and something that's a little bit more, you have to like really read between the lines and look at the music video or listen to the lyrics to better understand.
I love that you said that, because I think a lot of the challenge of working with talent sometimes is they think they're one thing. Sometimes they're like, I'm the serious one, I'm the ominous one, I'm the funny one, or something like that. And like most people, like, we are complex, non-binary human beings with many fucking layers. Like, we are funny, we are sad, and we are proud, and we are doubtful, and we can be all those things at the same time. And I think as an artist, sometimes you want to be brave, or you want to be confident, and you want to be, more vulnerable than most. And if you can challenge yourself to accept the many layers that you are, I think you find yourself in a better spot approaching marketing social media. But I also do want to acknowledge that, and then Alex said this earlier, which was really lovely, like, there's a place of privilege where you feel okay to talk about those things, and there's a place where you just don't, and it's okay to not be in that place. I had many clients, for example, that don't want to show their kids on social media. So it's almost as if they somewhat don't exist because you don't see them, so you don't know, and then you're like, oh, you have like 5 children? And you just would never know, and I think there's certain boundaries. So I was actually wondering, with Caroline, with you, going back to you, when you're working with talent, do you find that there are certain boundaries folks like don't want to cross, or do you find like certain things that kind of maybe a through line in it all of sorts?
Yeah, and sometimes I see that there's a disconnect between like the label versus the artist. Like sometimes the label really wants for an artist to share or highlight, a personal relationship they have, or like a past relationship they've had, to kind of draw attention back to the music, and the artist doesn't feel comfortable highlighting that part of their life at all. So sometimes it's, a disconnect in that regard, where you kind of have to just listen to the artist and what they feel comfortable with. But I think there's also interesting ways to reveal different aspects of your life. Like, for example, Don Toliver, like, he's in a relationship with Kali Uchis, and they have plenty of music together, music videos. They tour together, and you know that they're together. But in terms of social media, it's like, it's going to be very subtle. It's going to be in relation to a song, or it's going to be done in like a way that's not super obvious. Whereas for someone like Alex, it's like him and his fiance create such great content together, and I feel like people also go to his page because they love her. Like, she has her own following, and I think it's really cool to see how couples are inspired by their relationship as well, and how he's a little bit more, shows that aspect in a different way too. So I think it's just about what you feel comfortable with.
I love that. We love a power couple. We're actually going to shift it to Q&A. So if you're willing and eager, we'd love to hear some questions from the audience for anyone on the panel.
Oh, cool.
You know what? Actually, it'd be lovely. Maybe we each pick one person, and then I'll just start, and then we'll go from there, just to make sure everyone has a chance.
For sure.
I would love to pick the cute hat here. Love that.
I was wondering, okay, thank you. Better than shouting, I appreciate
Would you
that.
also mind, actually, for everyone as well, saying your name, your pronouns, and what you do?
Sure. My name is Gironas. I'm a songwriter, rapper, singer, artist. And my question about social media is burnout. Like, I just feel with all these social channels and us being not just music creators, but content creators, there's just this overwhelming sense of I'm not showing up online because I'm just not in the mood today. And then there's like, well, you should just program all your content, right? And so there's this like, do you do that, or do you create when you're inspired? Because music is different. You can work on a song for a long time and then people can enjoy it for a long time. I feel like content is really short-lived. It's like, get some traction and then you just need to keep feeding the beast and the monster. So that's been the challenge with social media. I see the benefits, I agree, but also it's just like this constant sense of overwhelm and burnout.
It is very overwhelming. I wish I could tell you that I create when I feel inspired on social media. I think that's how a lot of us start. I think it's even, when we go into writing and it's like, you write when you feel inspired to write a song. But I think after a while, especially like say I have a song coming out July. We got some time, and it's like I'm gonna promote it strategically, and typically I'll have a whole strategy in my head of how I think I want it to go, and then I'll improvise some bit, but most of it isn't. I have a plan on how much I'm gonna post, and I usually post once or twice a week, bare minimum, and then on a release week, I'll post every single day, twice a day, but then anything that happens around that is then improvised when I'm feeling motivated, or if I'm feeling a certain type of some things won't be planned. And when I film those things and they're not planned, they tend to do better than the planned ones 9 times out of 10. And that's really cool because it's kind of a surprise instead of what I have already planned. I hope I answered that okay.
I love that answer so much.
Thanks.
I was also just going to say that I think the moments where you do feel inspired is when you could be banking a bunch of content. Maybe you set aside a couple of days a week or a month where you just film in a couple different outfits or whatever throughout the day. Yeah. And then on days where you don't feel like, going out and filming stuff, then you already have things banked that you can say, okay, these are my best performing days, or these are my best performing times. I'm going to still post at these times, but I already have stuff that I just have ready to go if I don't feel in the mood. There's all these new CapCut templates where you can just upload a bunch of photos and set it to music. You could do something as simple as that, where it's you can just pull what's in your camera roll and be creating content when you're in bed. It doesn't even matter, and it can still reach people and engage with them. And I also think back to what I was saying with just engaging with people, that's a whole thing you could do for a day instead of posting, is just I'm going to reply to people, or I'm going to DM them and have a conversation with them, as opposed to I'm going to post something that I don't feel 100% confident in.
I think the only other thing, amazing points, the only thing I would add, it's okay to have those moments of burnout and be like, fuck this thing. Be like, this is bullshit, Facebook is the worst, whatever, just let it out. Because I find that sometimes with clients, they're just like, I don't want to do this and things like that, and I'm just like, all right, 30 minutes, go. Just tell me the worst things about Mark Zuckerberg, and let's just keep going down the list here. But I think you just need to accept that you are frustrated, and that it is upsetting, and that it is hard, and then you're like, all right, let's fucking go, and figure out from there. Alex, your tip burden.
Oh gosh, I get to pick. I don't know. Can you pick for me?
I would love to. How about the person, the row right here, white shirt? Yes. Yes.
Hi, my name is Gigi. I am of GMI Productions, and I'm very interested to know, how do you approach each of the different platforms, and what do you find the differences are in those particular customers, or you say fans? So what do you find the difference in them? and how do you approach that for each different social media platform?
So TikTok, I'll make content for TikTok. Like that's kind of the thing is what moves the most. There's anomalies. Some people will blow up on YouTube Shorts. There's some people will blow up on Instagram Reels. If you were to put a percentage, TikTok would have most of the driving factor. If you look at the charts, that's most, if not all, TikTok viral sounds. But if you want to, you know, that's just what I'm attacking, but I still film for TikTok, download the TikTok videos without a watermark, post them onto Instagram Reels, post them onto YouTube Shorts, and I find success on there as well. And I think for the biggest thing, if you're just starting out or you haven't found any, like the little blimp of success yet, I think the huge thing is trying every single platform. I'm with you on the Facebook one, though. I don't really use that one. But YouTube is great for long form. I think right now, though, TikTok is the driving factor, and Snapchat is a huge one for me, just because, like she said, I'm one of the bigger creators on there, and I do about 1 billion views every month. So that helps me to get in front of a bunch of people I wasn't in front of. And TikTok I've been doing for so long, and I create multiple accounts on TikTok because that's how the algorithm works. If you're a new account and you post something that maybe someone has seen, it is 10 times more likely to go viral than your already original account, because then it's incentive for you to post more. They'll never tell you that to your face, but I'll tell you it to your face. So I have literally 5 different accounts with 2 million followers, and then one with 15 million followers, and then I also hire someone to create a bunch of fan accounts. And what they'll do is then post videos and edits of my songs, and then it'll get on more people's For You page, and then all of a sudden it looks as if, you know, and also I have a huge fan base already, so then they see those and then post it, and they're a part of, they create their own Discord channel, and then it kind of just feeds the beast and gets it started. I'll leak my own song all the time.
Caroline, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think everything that Alex said as well. I think obviously just trying video content that you can repurpose on every platform is great. And then I think, you know, sometimes it's carousels, you know, the swipes on Instagram that work the best and where you'll get the most engagement. And then you can also repurpose that on Twitter and YouTube community and Facebook and things like that as well. But I also think you could do very simple things on TikTok or Instagram, like just putting a little bit of a boost behind a post that you feel good about, you know, for a week for $20 or something, and see how you gain fans or how you gain followers and how that engagement helps, and trying that out on different platforms to just see how you can reach a bigger audience and make them actual followers and customers.
I think the other thing on the platform side from my experience, there's a concept called unduplicated reach. And for those of you who don't know, unduplicated reach is basically the lack of overlap between 2 platforms as a result of, like, you know, they don't have these users don't normally use this platform. So for example, 40% of Snapchat users don't have any other social media account. When I was working at Reddit, 54% of Redditors do not have a TikTok account. So it's interesting to understand that each platform, even and then, has a whole different community of people you lean into, because simply they don't have another social media account, or there's very little overlap with certain ones. So just important to think about as you're trying to expand your demo and such. It's literally whole different groups of audiences on these platforms. I think we have time for maybe 2 more. So Caroline, would you like to select our next person?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Easy.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
Oh, the striped shirt.
Oh, striped shirt.
Oh, sure.
Hi, David Moskowitz. I'm a songwriter, singer-songwriter, guitar player. Question is, I act in a lot of music videos. How effective do you think it is to spend money on a music video for YouTube, get on Instagram, to generate a following on social media, and TikTok?
To generate a following, it isn't what it used to be. I think YouTube, especially what it was before, it was a lot more populated in that general sense. Music videos now are more of an aid to help the song itself. I'm a firm believer in music videos because I fucking love it. I think it's a way to tell the story and show the story, because let's be honest, music is subjective just the same way art is. You hear a song, like what was it, Somebody You Loved by Louis Capaldi. Everyone thought that song was a love song or a breakup song. It's about his dead grandma. And it's like, you know, if he had a music video depicting that people could see what he wrote that about, but they'd still refer it to the way that they thought it was. Oh, so many people sing my song about my dead dad, and they're like, I thought it was a breakup song, and like, I did a music video depicting how my dad died. And to me, it's telling my story and showing people and being vulnerable again, and I think if you treat music videos as art itself, that's something so powerful. I also think, you know, to use it as a means to get that tick, to get that bump, I don't think it's necessarily worth the money. Unless, again, it's an anomaly, but it's an expensive anomaly.
I also think you can be creating music videos like 1-minute clips that you put vertically on all social media platforms. You could do 5 of those for a song and just switch it up, have a different setting for each one. But I think it's more about how many pieces of content can you create to a song. I definitely love the artistry behind making a music video and telling the story. And also, I love it when you have a connection with a music video to the point that every time you listen to the song, you can picture what's happening in the music video and feel connected to the artist in that way. So I think it's absolutely important because it's just telling the story in another form, and I think it's beautiful. But I also think a music video could be something as simple as, a TikTok post that you edit with a couple different, setups or whatever, and just you can be creating music videos every single day. They can be very simple, and I think everyone should be trying to, showcase their art in different ways that tell the story, and that it's easier to do now more than ever.
Because I think you were kind of insinuating this too, but a big thing in music is like people spend a lot of money on music videos. And I have mixed feelings on this. I think if you're in a place of privilege and you have a particular vision and there's a certain amount that you need to like execute the art, then it's so be it to some capacity. I think generally as like an artist that you're entering into the market, kind of what I tell people, and this is deep overgeneralization, 20% on the product, 80% on the promotion. So as you're considering budgets and thinking about like making something with integrity, like don't challenge integrity by any means, but also be very conscious of the fact that you still got to promote the thing. Like people still got to see it to make it matter and that and such. The other thing I will also say to that, I think some of the best music videos are the low budget ones. Speaking of Louis Capaldi, I got to work with him when I was at YouTube, and this was during the time where Apple Music was actually doing the vertical videos, and he had released a video, and I'm forgetting the song now, but he released a vertical video of him just dancing in his underwear for the entire duration of the song, and it literally went viral on YouTube, and it's just like, if you go on desktop on YouTube, it's this like vertical video that's just not formatted correctly for the platform, but it just went off. And it was just funny to see, like, incredible. Like, this is why I love the internet. Those are like those random moments where a Scottish man can dance in his underwear and make something go viral. So God bless it. I know Striped Shirt was, yes. You had a question earlier, right? Okay, perfect. Oh, they're coming. They're coming quick.
Yeah, they're quick with it.
I'm Marco, they, he. I sing, produce, and write for a project called Sonic Halls. Cool. So you were talking earlier about, in a promotion cycle, the frequency of how much you post.
Yeah.
And how maybe at the beginning, not as much, and then every day leading up to like the week of release.
Yeah.
Do you think that would apply maybe differently for, an artist like me? I'm very small.
For sure.
So I've been going every day as I'm kind of hyping up a new release.
So my problem is that and it's a phenomenal problem to have, but when I promote a song, 9 times out of 10, the first promotion of it does go viral. So the problem is when my promotion goes viral and my song isn't done yet, that starts and it slowly, no matter how much you promote it, will slowly go down. Like for my recent single, Give You Love, the first promotion got 46.5 million views the first week. I didn't put the song out for 4 weeks. So then it's slowly, and I try to keep replicating that amount of views, but it's difficult. You want that amount of views the day the song comes out, not 4 weeks before. And so what I'm constantly battling with, and again, I'm a very fortunate person to have this problem, but it's trying to keep that amount of people engaged till the song comes out. And also TikTok and every single one of these platforms, they won't let you say link in bio, what release date and things like that. 9 times out of 10, it'll just get sent to your following. So you have to be, if you've ever noticed, people will be very tricky with their wordplay. They'll say releasing, and then they'll try to give you a date and like put different, like if you hold down on the U on a keyboard, you can put a U with 2 dots above it, and then they'll say YouTube like that. And it's like, those are things where they don't want you to go off platform. And so you have to figure out cheeky ways of being able to promote a release date, promoting a song and where it's going to be if it's not on platform, which I don't think anyone's releasing songs on a TikTok DSP. So it's something where, you have to play it out. So to answer your question, yeah, if, like, let's say you haven't found that success yet, I would post as many times as you can, no matter if the song is done or not, because a lot of people, what they're doing is they're posting the hook of the song, and if the hook of the song goes viral, they finish the song. And then you have to keep in mind now, when that went viral, you have 2 weeks. You realistically have 2 weeks until they don't give a fuck, unless the song is an anomaly, which you do see on TikTok every single week. So it's like, you have to play it as if it's not gonna happen to you. You have to play it out like you're not gonna find that success, and you'll be golden.
I do want to acknowledge that this is our last question, unfortunately, but thank you everyone for being here today, and give a round of applause to our panelists here.
Sorry, I talk a lot.
We hope you don't lose hope using social media, but thank you everyone. Cheers.